Last month, I decided to increase my weekly spending allowance. How did I do the first week with my bigger budget? You won't believe the results. Welcome back to Ready Budget Go. My name is Drew, and on this channel, we talk about cash budgeting, saving money, and achieving our financial goals. If that sounds like something you're interested in, please consider subscribing, hit the like button, and leave me a comment down below. I'd love to hear from you. Today, I am going to input all of the expenses that I've had so far for the month of January. That includes my bills since the 1st and my wallet spending for the first week, which for me commenced on the 3rd because I do it by Fridays. Ordinarily, when I do these videos, I sit here and just fill everything out silently, and then I come back later and record a voiceover. But I had so few transactions this week that I'm just going to do it live. So the first thing that I'm going to do is fill in the bills. I haven't gotten any income yet this month, so that will be on next week's, but I did have expenses come out. So I'm going to fill in the bills, and all of these were exactly as I expected. So $21.40 for rent, $228 for utilities, which is water, sewer, garbage. My power bill will come out later. $66 for Orca, which is my transit, not a transit pass, but transit expense. $11 for renter's insurance, $205 transfer to my emergency fund, a $3 iCloud expense, and $16 at YouTube Premium. These numbers are rounded. In previous months, I'd been using the exact dollar amounts, but I just decided that for simplicity's sake, I'm going to round up to the next nearest dollar, and any of the leftover change, I will just build up my checking account buffer. So that's all I have for here. One other change that I made versus the initial budget that I did is when I did the initial budget, I had input doctor's office and labs as a single line, but I'm actually going to get two different bills for that. I'll get one from my physician's office and I'll get another from the laboratory that does the blood work. So I split that into two. It's the same amount. The total didn't change. Just instead of one line for $200, I put $50 for labs and $150 for the office visit. The reason why these numbers are high is because I'm on a high deductible plan. And I do that so that I can take advantage of the health savings account and invest that money so that when I am getting on in years and into the Medicare years, I can use the money in that health savings account tax-free to pay for medical expenses then. So at any rate, that is what those expenses are. And those I had the labs this week, haven't gotten the bill yet, and I see my doctor next week, so I'll get the bill later this month or maybe even next month. If it slides out of January and into February, I will just record zeros for these and I'll put them in the February budget. But at least I've already planned for those expenses now because I know they're coming up. I'll do the wallet spending on the expense tab. The next thing that I'm going to do here is fill in the stockpile money. So if you watched my video from Monday, that was the savings challenge games, and instead of saving $100, I ended up saving $143. And that's because I played every single game. In the future, I'm only going to play a certain number of games, and I'm only going to play until that $100 runs out. And so consequently, I'm going to write in 143 here. I have already transferred the extra, well, funnily enough, I transferred the $43 to my savings account from my checking account, but I forgot I needed to transfer 143 for the full amount. I also deposited $70 worth of letterbucks from previous months. So I have two deposits for different amounts. I have one for $43 and one for $170 instead of one for $70 and one for $143, but the total's the same. And that'll show up, excuse me, that will show up in the cash flow tracker, which is the next sheet that I'm going to work on. So we'll go over to that page next. And this is the, oh, sorry, not the cash allocation, the cash flow tracker. So I haven't updated the inflows and outflows, nor have I put in the beginning balance. For the beginning balance, I'm going to take the end balance from December and just input that in here. I should have done this already, but I didn't. So I will go back to the December sheet. and find it here. December cash flow tracker, end balance 49.43.29. So 49.43.29. And now for the inflows, I had one deposit. This is from Letterbucks. So that's what I'm going to note here. That was for $70. If you don't know what Letterbucks is, I covered this in other videos. I am only stuffing that challenge once a month now. So that will be on the monthly close challenge, or not the monthly close challenge, the monthly close video. I will stuff the Letterbucks challenge. So I'm still accumulating those. I am going to start all over with my trackers. I haven't pulled them out of the envelopes yet, the dollars that I'd saved from last year. I will do that probably this next week and just take those to the bank. So that was the only deposit, and now for the withdrawals, there were several. So I first had the emergency fund savings. That's just the regular transfer that happens, and that was $205. I also had the rent payment and utilities. So I tracked them separately, but the payment is made in one. So that was $2,367.06. And here I am using the exact amount down to the penny, because this is essentially like a check register for me. And then I had some credit card payments. Okay. That one was $165.45. Another one. And that was $504.88. Another one for 100 even. Another one. $78.71. Another one. That was for 121. And another one. That was for 57.21. And then I had two more transfers to the emergency fund, or to my savings account, but really for the emergency fund, because right now that is my top savings priority. $43 and $170, like I talked about earlier. Okay, so that's everything. You'll notice a lot of credit card payments. I do carry quite a few credit cards, and the reason is because each of these gives me a different benefit. So, for example, one of them gives me 5% cash back on my transit purchases. Another one gives me 5% cash back on, what does it give me? On Lyft rides. And because I do not own a car, that is a fantastic benefit to have. It also gives me a free subscription to Lyft Pink. So all of the credit cards that I have, in particular the ones that I pay an annual fee on, pay for themselves. Many of these I don't pay an annual fee on, and I'm using them responsibly just to get the rewards, and I pay them off every month, and in some cases I send in more than one payment a month, just because I don't like the balances sitting there and growing. It's for my own peace of mind that I make sure that I keep those balances low at all times. Okay, so now I'm moving on to the expense tracker, and this one I've got a whopping 3 transactions to record. Not a lot of spending this week. There were a couple of reasons for that. One reason is because my boss took me out to lunch one day, so I didn't have many expenses that day. I also went to the grocery store once and didn't have to go. Well, actually, I went twice, but it was early in the week, didn't have to go again. And I just kind of made things stretch. I was also pretty busy in my 9 to 5 job coming back from the holidays, so not a whole lot of time for any kind of extra frivolity or anything like that. So on the 4th, I went to the grocery store and I spent $33.87. I have my notes off to the side, but I can't always read my own writing. Then on the 6th, I went to the grocery store again, which in my part of the world is QFC. That is our Kroger affiliated grocery store. That was $47.59. I've already spent more than both of these together for this week's groceries, but I figure it's still better than going out to eat, and it gave me plenty to get me through the whole week and then some. So I'm good. And then on the 8th, I had a Lyft ride, and this was the day that I had the blood draw, and I just decided that I was going to take um, Lyft to the lab because it was a place that I'd never been before, and I really didn't want to be late and miss my appointment. So it was quite an expensive one. It was $38.73 because any kind of transportation here is obscenely expensive, but that was all that I spent this week. So I am going to color code these. Um, Cash spending, I usually do record that, but I didn't go to the ATM last week. I went to dinner with a family friend on Friday of last week, sort of a pre-birthday. My birthday is actually on the 11th, the day that this video will be uploaded. And she gave me some scratch tickets, and the scratch tickets paid pretty good. So I didn't have to go to the ATM this week. And so I've just been spending off that cash, and so I'm not really counting it. I'm not going to count it as an inflow or an outflow because it all comes out in the wash with that. I'm just going to let it ride. And I'm not going to, well, let's see. I'm not planning on going to the cash machine again this week, but I think I might have to. I got to see how much I have left on hand. There might not be all that much left. And if so, I'll go take out the $100 that I usually do, and we'll see how that gets me through the week. But at any rate, for these transactions, I am going to color code them green because it's my birthday week, and green is my favorite color. And there's no real special reason to do this. It's just kind of a visual representation of what the high spend weeks are in the month. But I am going to add these together, and I am going to write it into my budget overview sheet. So 3387 plus 4759 plus 3873 is $120.19, so significantly below the $250 that I budgeted. In fact, it's less than half, and I'm more than pleased with that. I think, it really goes to show how much the holiday season affected my spending, because a lot of the overages that I had last quarter, last November and December, well, some of them were emergencies, some of them was last minute travel, and then I also had a lot of holiday gift spending that I didn't necessarily budget for because I had just started really tracking this in September, October. So the holidays kind of came in and didn't really wreck things, but they did throw some weeks off. So this year should be a lot better when we get to that point. And for now, I'm really happy with the way the spending is going. I did up my budget to allow for additional spend just because I was coming in over my $200 every single month, usually by $20 or $30. So I upped it, and I thought, that the number here, the number I actually spend was probably going to go down, and sure enough, that's exactly what happened. But at least I've got it planned now that if I do have a big budget week, I can absorb it better than I could in the past, where I was having to pull it from cash flow or from somewhere else. And again, in February, this will look a little bit different because I am going to budget my paychecks tighter, whereas right now I'm rounding them down. Once I know what those paychecks are going to be, I will put in actual amounts rounded down to the nearest dollar instead of to the nearest $100. I've also got a bonus coming in this month. Don't know what that'll be. And I've got that earmarked to go to savings. So February's budget will look different. I'm just kind of getting through January while the dust settles from all the changes that happen with changes in insurance, changes in tax withholding, or whatever it is, to absorb all of those differences. So that's that. The only other thing that I wanted to go over quickly is the emergency fund. Now, I'm not in a position where I can color up to the next level yet, but I will be by the end of this month. And for me, that is pretty exciting. I've set kind of a soft goal for myself to do one of these each month, and that's going to take some serious savings. So in other words, by the end of April, I want to have my emergency fund fully funded. I've got that bonus coming. I've got another bonus check coming in April, plus all of the money that I'm putting in on a regular basis, plus savings challenges, plus, everything else. I'm really working toward that. Once I fund the emergency fund, the next priority is the Roth IRA. After that is the rainy day fund, and I might switch that up. I might do the rainy day fund before the Roth IRA. We'll have to see how things are going. And then after that, it's saving up for the big move. And that is something that I'll talk more about as I get closer to the big move. So that's the budget update for this week. Not a whole lot of transactions to enter, but I managed to fill the time gabbing. So I do want to thank everyone for tuning in and for staying through to the end. If you're interested in this emergency fund sheet or any of the other worksheets that I use, those are available in my Etsy shop. A link to that is down in the description below. If you wouldn't mind, I'd love it if you'd subscribe, like the video, leave a comment down below, and until I see you in the next one, take care.